All right, so today we're diving into something a little different.
Okay.
Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, before you think this is all about, cheesy pickup lines and all that, let me assure you, it's actually a really fascinating deep dive into the psychology of seduction. We're talking about the strategies used by some of history's most captivating figures, from Cleopatra to Casanova.
Right.
So really getting into how they were able to be so alluring.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's important to remember about Greene's work is that he's not interested in, glorifying manipulation. He wants to understand, the underlying desires and anxieties that make seduction so potent.
Yeah.
And it's really about recognizing the power dynamics at play and how they can be used for, better or for worse.
I see. So it's less about learning how to actually seduce someone and more about recognizing those patterns, recognizing how it works.
Exactly. The Art of Seduction is like a playbook. It's revealing the tactics used by these masters of attraction throughout history. And one of the most intriguing aspects, I think, is this idea of seducer types.
Okay.
So Greene identifies 9 archetypes,
Yeah.
each with a unique allure and sort of method of operating.
Okay, so he calls them sirens, rakes, ideal lovers, dandies, naturals, coquettes, charmers, charismatics, and stars.
Wow, that's quite the list.
It is. It's like a cast of characters,
Yeah.
in this grand play of seduction.
It really is, and I think each type plays a very specific role, appealing to different desires and vulnerabilities in people.
Okay, I like that.
So let's take the siren, for example.
Okay.
They embody this raw, almost primal sexuality, and they really draw you in with their captivating presence.
By Cleopatra.
Exactly, Cleopatra is a classic example. Her charisma and allure were legendary.
I remember reading that she was said to have a voice that was like an instrument of many strings.
Wow.
She was fluent in multiple languages and knew how to use her words to really captivate and entice people.
That's incredible. And that mastery of language is key to the siren's power, right? They create a sense of mystery and intrigue, making you crave their attention.
Wow. Okay, and what about the rake?
The rake.
That one I immediately think of Casanova.
Yes.
Wasn't he all about playing on a woman's desire for danger and excitement?
Absolutely. The rake is a master of the chase. They thrive on the thrill of pursuit and make the seduction feel like this forbidden game.
I see.
So we can think of the Duc de Richelieu. He was this notorious figure in the French court, and his boldness and flirtatious nature were legendary. He even landed in prison for his escapades.
Oh, wow.
But that only seemed to add to his allure.
Right, so it's that bad boy persona, that sense that they're living on the edge that makes them so irresistible.
Precisely. And then you have the ideal lover.
Okay.
So someone like Rudolph Valentino.
Okay.
He wasn't conventionally handsome, but he had this almost feminine grace, a delicate way of moving that just captivated audiences.
Yeah, the epitome of romantic longing in those silent films.
Exactly. He tapped into a woman's desire for romance and fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about creating this aura of longing and making them feel like they're living out a dream.
Interesting. So each of these types taps into a different desire, creates a different persona almost to draw people in.
Yes, and the key is that they're not just putting on an act. Right? These personas are often an extension of their true selves,
Right.
but they're magnified and carefully crafted to really appeal to their target audience.
So it's about playing to your strengths, understanding what makes you alluring.
Right, and Greene argues that recognizing these types in ourselves and in others can help us understand the dynamics of attraction and how we kind of navigate the world of relationships.
So it's almost like you're getting this cheat sheet for deciphering people's motivations.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Okay, great.
Now, beyond these character types, Greene also dives into some specific tactics that seducers use to kind of disarm and attract their targets.
Okay.
One that stands out to me is disarm through strategic weakness and vulnerability. It's this idea of creating a sense of empathy and making the target want to protect you.
So it's almost like playing the victim, appearing helpless to evoke a nurturing instinct in the other person.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be incredibly effective because it makes your actions seem less calculated and more genuine.
Okay.
Think of Madame de Pompadour, the mistress of King Louis V.
Right.
She was a master of this, creating an ambiance of fragility and vulnerability that really appealed to the king's desire to be a protector.
I've also heard that she was incredibly meticulous, like paying attention to every detail, from the scent of her perfume to the lighting in her chambers.
Oh, absolutely. She understood that seduction is this multisensory experience.
Okay.
Every detail, no matter how small, contributes to the overall effect.
Wow.
It's like crafting this immersive theatrical production that's
Right.
designed to really captivate the senses.
So it's about creating a world that draws people in and makes them feel special.
Precisely. Another fascinating tactic Green explores is confused desire and reality, the perfect illusion.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
So it's about blurring the lines between what's real and what's imagined appealing to the target's deepest fantasies.
It's almost like a mind game.
In a way, it is. It's about tapping into the power of suggestion and making the target feel like they're experiencing something extraordinary.
Okay.
A good example is Lord Byron, the famous poet.
Right.
He cultivated this persona of a brooding romantic hero fueled by rumors of forbidden romances and a disregard for social norms.
So playing up that bad boy image to create that sense of mystery and intrigue.
Exactly, and women flocked to him because he offered this escape from the mundane, a taste of something dangerous and exciting.
I see. So again, it's that desire for something more, something beyond the ordinary that these tactics seem to play on.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so effective. They tap into these deep-seated psychological needs and longings.
Right.
Another tactic worth mentioning is isolate the victim.
Okay.
So this is about separating the target from their support system, making them more vulnerable to your influence.
Yeah. That's a classic manipulation technique, isn't it? Cutting someone off from their friends and family to make them more dependent on you. It's a bit unsettling, to be honest.
It can be, but it's also a tactic that's used in various contexts, not just in romantic seduction.
Right.
You know, think about cults, for example.
Right.
They often isolate their members from the outside world to control their thoughts and behaviors.
Yeah, that's true. It's a reminder that these tactics, while fascinating to explore, can be used for, both good and bad.
Mm.
It's about understanding the power dynamics and being aware of the potential for manipulation.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important to understand the psychology behind these tactics.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. And by recognizing these strategies, we can better protect ourselves from those who might use them against us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really like Green is giving us this backstage pass to the theater of seduction.
Right.
Showing us all the tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
And one of the most intriguing aspects I think he explores is this importance of detail.
So it's not just about these grand gestures, these sweeping pronouncements of love.
Right.
It's the subtle things that really make the difference.
Exactly. You think of Madame de Pompadour again.
Yeah.
She was so meticulous in creating this whole sensual experience for Louis XV.
Right.
The scent of the room, the texture of the fabrics, the soft lighting. Every detail was designed to heighten his senses and draw him into her world.
Like she was curating this immersive experience,
Nice.
appealing to all his senses.
And it wasn't just about, creating a luxurious atmosphere.
Right.
She also paid attention to the details of her own appearance. Her attire, her makeup, even the way she moved.
Wow.
Every element was carefully considered to create a very specific effect.
So it's about this complete package you're putting together.
Yes.
This persona that is both alluring and captivating.
Absolutely.
It's not just about physical beauty. It's about presenting yourself in a way that's appealing and intriguing.
Right. And Green argues that this attention to detail is what separates the true masters of seduction from the amateurs.
Okay.
It's about understanding that power of suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
the subtle cues that can influence a person's perceptions and desires.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think about how all these seemingly small details can have such a powerful impact on our subconscious.
Yeah, and speaking of powerful impacts, Green explores this tactic called affective regression.
Okay, that one sounds a little Freudian. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so it's about triggering the target's childhood memories and desires,
Okay.
particularly those associated with parental figures.
So you're trying to create a sense of dependency,
Exactly.
like they're being taken care of.
Yes, it's about creating this sense of dependency and vulnerability,
Okay.
similar to the bond between a child and a parent.
Right.
So by tapping into those primal needs for comfort and security, the seducer can create this very powerful emotional connection.
But isn't that a bit manipulative? Playing on someone's childhood vulnerabilities?
It can be if used irresponsibly.
Right.
But remember, we're exploring these tactics from a psychological perspective.
Of course.
The goal isn't to endorse manipulation, but to understand how these dynamics work.
Okay, so it's about recognizing the potential for manipulation.
Exactly.
And guarding against it.
Right. And it's also about understanding how these tactics can be used in a more positive light.
Okay.
For example, a therapist might use regression techniques to help a patient access and process repressed childhood traumas.
That makes sense. So it's not inherently good or bad. It depends on the intent and the context in which it's used.
Precisely. And that's true for all of the seduction tactics Green discusses.
Right.
They can be used for both noble and nefarious purposes.
It's like having a set of tools.
Yes.
They can be used to build something beautiful or to destroy something precious.
Exactly. Now, another tactic that Green highlights is stir up the transgressive and taboo.
Okay.
So this is about tapping into people's desire to break free from societal norms and explore their darker impulses.
So that thrill of the forbidden, that sense of rebellion that can be so intoxicating.
Precisely think of Lord Byron again.
Okay.
He cultivated this image of a rebellious Byronic hero.
Right.
And people were drawn to him because he represented a rejection of conventionality.
He was the ultimate bad boy.
Yes.
His reputation for scandalous behavior just added to his allure.
Precisely. And it wasn't just about his actions, it was also about his words.
Okay.
His poetry often explored themes of forbidden love, passion, transgression.
Wow.
Which further fueled his image as this romantic rebel.
So he was playing on people's desire for something more, something that defied the constraints of society.
Absolutely. And it's a tactic that's still used today.
Right.
Think about the advertising industry, for example.
Okay.
They often use imagery and language that push the boundaries of what's considered acceptable.
Right.
Because it grabs our attention and makes us want to learn more.
It's like that saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly.
Sometimes even negative attention can be beneficial.
Right. And speaking of attention, Green emphasizes the importance of used spiritual lures in the art of seduction.
Okay.
So this is about appealing to a person's yearning for something deeper.
Right.
Something that transcends the purely physical.
So tapping into their spiritual side, their desire for meaning and connection?
Exactly. It's about elevating the seduction to a higher level.
Okay.
Making it feel more profound and lasting.
I see.
Think of Josephine Baker, the American-born dancer and singer, who became a sensation in Paris in the 1920s. She wasn't just a talented performer.
Right.
She also exuded this sense of confidence and independence that was incredibly appealing.
Yeah, she was a symbol of liberation and self-expression.
Exactly.
Which really resonated with audiences at the time.
And that's what made her so captivating.
Right.
She wasn't just offering a fleeting moment of entertainment. She was tapping into this deeper longing for freedom and authenticity.
So it's about offering something more than just physical gratification. It's about appealing to the whole person, their mind, body, and spirit.
Exactly. And that's what makes seduction such a powerful force.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the complexities of human desire.
Right.
And using that knowledge to create a connection that is both alluring and meaningful.
But it's a delicate balance, isn't it?
It is.
You don't want to come across as manipulative or insincere.
Absolutely. Authenticity is key.
Right.
People can sense when you're being genuine,
and
they'll be more receptive to your advances if they feel like you're truly interested in them.
So it's not just about learning a set of techniques. It's about cultivating a genuine sense of connection and understanding.
And speaking of connection, Green introduces the concept of the anti-seducer.
Okay.
So these are individuals who, due to insecurity, self-absorption, or lack of awareness, repel rather than attract.
So they're the opposite of everything we've been talking about.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Instead of drawing people in, they push them away.
Got it.
They might be overly critical, constantly seeking validation, or completely oblivious to the needs and desires of others.
So they're blind to the social cues that govern human interaction.
Exactly. And Green suggests that recognizing anti-seductive qualities in ourselves can be a valuable exercise in self-awareness.
Right.
After all, none of us want to be the person who drains the energy from a room.
True. We all have our moments of insecurity and self-doubt.
Yeah.
But it's important to be mindful of how our behavior affects others.
And remember, the goal isn't to become a master manipulator.
Right.
It's about understanding the dynamics of human interaction.
Right.
And using that knowledge to create more positive and fulfilling relationships.
Yeah, it's about becoming more attuned to those subtle cues and signals that we send and receive in our interactions with others.
And it's about recognizing that seduction isn't just about romantic conquests.
Right.
These principles can be applied in all areas of life.
Okay.
From business negotiations to friendships to family relationships.
So it's really about becoming more aware of ourselves and the impact we have on others.
And it's about using that awareness to create more meaningful and fulfilling connections.
It sounds like self-awareness is really key here.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just in avoiding becoming the anti-seducer, but also, just in general in our interactions.
Yeah, and I think, Green doesn't just leave us with warnings about what not to do.
Right.
He also provides this framework for understanding what makes a seducer truly compelling. He argues that it all boils down to the cultivation of a really strong and alluring character.
So it's not just about learning a bunch of tricks and techniques.
Right.
They're actual qualities that you need to develop.
Exactly. Green believes that true seducers possess this certain magnetism, this charisma that goes beyond just superficial charm.
Right.
They're confident, self-assured, comfortable in their own skin. They radiate an energy that just makes people want to be around them.
It's like they have this inner light that shines through and it draws people in.
Yes, and I think that inner light is often fueled by a passion for life.
Okay.
A curiosity about the world, and a genuine interest in others. They're the kind of people who make you feel seen and understood.
Right.
And they spark your imagination and make you want to engage with them on a deeper level.
So you can't fake it.
Right.
You can't just learn how to do it.
Yeah.
You have to actually cultivate those qualities within yourself.
Exactly. And that's what makes seduction so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It's not about manipulating people. It's about connecting with them on this genuine human level. It's about understanding what makes people tick and using that knowledge to, create a spark.
Right.
To ignite this flame of interest and desire.
So it's like a dance, this interplay of energies and emotions.
Strictly put.
Where you're both kind of drawn in by this mutual attraction.
And that's the ultimate goal of seduction, isn't it?
Yeah.
To create a connection that is both exciting and meaningful.
Right.
Something that enriches both of your lives.
I think this has been a really eye-opening conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
The Art of Seduction has really made me think about human interaction in a whole new light.
Yeah, Green's book is full of these fascinating insights, and I really encourage everyone to explore it for themselves. And, remember, the Art of Seduction isn't just about romantic conquests. It's about understanding the psychology of influence.
Yeah.
And using that knowledge to create more, positive and fulfilling relationships in all areas of our lives.
Absolutely. So, listeners, as you go about your day, I encourage you to be more mindful of the subtle dynamics at play in your interactions with others.
That's a great takeaway.
Observe the tactics being used, both consciously and unconsciously.
Yeah.
And consider how you can use this knowledge to create more meaningful connections.
Yes.
Who knows, you might even discover your own inner seducer along the way.
That's a great point. Well, until next time, keep diving deep into the world of knowledge. Goodbye.